Namaste, everyone. Very good morning to everybody who's present here. Today's topic is Introduction to Yama Niyama of Patanjali's, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, out of 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. These are the first 2 limbs. In these 5 days, we will explore the benefits of Yama Niyama and how to practice them and what are these, why are they here. So today, before we go into the practice or the learnings, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Joshna. I have been practicing yoga for 25 years now. I've been teaching for the last 15 years in different parts of the world, mostly in India, US, China, and different parts. The most important aspect of yoga is not just the asana practice. Asana practice is just one small limb of 8 limbs of yoga. And Yama Niyama is the first doorway into the practice of yoga. So today I really am very grateful to Idanim and all of you who are present here. You've come here to listen the philosophy of yoga, which is really amazing. So thank you. We'll start with that gratitude in my heart. So how is the session gonna go? We're gonna discuss the understanding of Yama and Niyama for first 20 minutes, and then last 10 minutes we're gonna internalize. I'll ask you to have a paper and a pen, if possible, to have it next to you. Or if you don't have a paper and pen today, it's fine. Tomorrow you can have one paper and pen with you. And you can also or use your phone to type whatever the questions I ask you to contemplate. Yeah. So, okay, let's begin the learnings already. So first we'll understand what is Yama, what is Niyama, and where this is mentioned. So if you look at Yama and Niyama as a concept, it's mentioned in many books. But one of the main yogic scripture that is mentioned in is Yoga Sutra, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and Upanishads. Few Upanishads have also mentioned Yama Niyama, and there is another book called Yajnavalkya Samhita. So these are all the books where the concepts of Yama and Niyama are mentioned. But the most very precise explanation is given in the Yoga Sutras. In Yoga Sutras, there are 5 principles for Yama and 5 principles for Niyama. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there are 10 yamas and 10 niyamas. So don't get confused. It's just a little bit of variation here and there. But this program, what we are going to do is focus on the Yoga Sutras. Patanjali, who's written the Yoga Sutras, he has mentioned 5 different types of yamas and 5 practices of niyamas. So the word yama means control. Yama is to control. What do we control? There are few aspects in our life. If we control them, we can have a greater harmony with the world outside us. Now think of the recent situations in our world right now. There's a lot of unharmonious things happening. There is war happening around us. There is violence around us. How does it make you feel when you sit and listen to the news of these violent activities which is going around you? It kind of stirs you up. It makes you feel restless. It makes you feel in being in panic mode. So if there is no harmony around us, there is no way that we can develop a harmonious relationship inside us. So how, as a human being, I can develop practice certain principles that will help me to be in harmony with the world outside me. So what are these important principles? These are the things which you will learn under Yama practices. And there are few principles under Niyama practices. So Niyama is principles that you should follow in order to have a harmonious relationship with your own self. Outside, yes, now everything is peaceful. I'm having a harmonious relationship with the world outside me. But am I doing things to make my inner self peaceful? What can I do to make my inner self peaceful? This is niyama practices. So today's deep dive is into yama practices. So we will talk about niyama tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So today we'll work on yama. And now, because I'm trying to take one concept out of the Yoga Sutras and presenting, I have to also give you an idea why Patanjali Yoga Sutras even spoke about this. What is the context in which he is explaining Yama Niyama? So this is in the second chapter of the Yoga Sutras. So if you look at the Yoga Sutras, we have 4 chapters. The first chapter is called Samadhi Pada. The second chapter is called Sadhana Pada. Sadhana, we all understand. Sadhana is the kind of practice that we should do to reach the final goal of yoga. So we all know the final goal of yoga is moksha, right? Even though the practice that we are doing might not look that we are going towards moksha, but the final goal of yoga is essentially going towards moksha. So now, if I'm in this path of the final goal of yoga, the moksha, then what kind of steps that will get me there without me getting caught in the world outside again? So that is the idea of why Yama Niyama was introduced. So Yama Niyama was introduced for Viveka Kyatihi. Viveka Kyatihi is, Viveka means discriminative knowledge. Discriminative knowledge is what is right for me, what is not right for me, what is good for me, what is not good for me. If I do this, what happens? That is discriminative knowledge. So we all have this discriminative knowledge. For example, let's say I'm completely full, but still there is a piece of chocolate someone is giving to me. Then one of my mind voice will say, no, you have had too much food. You should not eat more. It's not good for you. Another part of mind says, oh, it's very delicious. I need to taste it. Right? There are 2 parts of your minds having the same voice. The one which says, no, it's not good for you is our discriminative knowledge that we have. That is called our buddhi. So our buddhi always tries to tell us the right thing. But what we usually tend to do, we kind of give in to our sense organs. What is delicious, what feels good, what is comfortable, we try to go and grasp that. So if you have higher discriminative knowledge, like if you have a strong buddhi, how much ever temptation is around us, I will not yield to that temptation. I will not go behind my sense organs and take what my sense organ is giving in front of me, right? So that if I need that discriminative power to be more, then I should practice 8 limbs of yoga. So this is the context on which Patanjali is introducing 8 limbs to a person who is coming and studying sadhana pada. So because all of you have come here today, what does it mean? It means today you are curious to know what are these yama and niyama concepts, right? This same theory, I can't go and tell someone who's walking on the street and tell them yama, niyama, this and that. They are not curious. So same way, when someone is taking the Yoga Sutra book and reading, that is when they are curious to know what is moksha. They want to know and they want to go in this path of yoga. So when the curiosity is there and he is explaining, if you have a higher discriminatory power, if you practice the 8 limbs of yoga, you will be able to reach the path of moksha much faster. So that is the idea of in which 8 limbs is introduced. So Viveka Kyatihi. Viveka Kyatihi is to know exactly what is right, what is wrong, and to act based on my power of my buddhi, not the power of manas. There are 2 things. Manas is memory and sensory coordinating mind. So, for example, like a full cup of coffee, right? What is happening? Some people have addiction to cup of coffee, right? Say addiction in the sense they really like coffee, right? So what is happening? You have tasted coffee, you kind of understand the memory, the smell of it. And then, whenever you see something or whenever you feel like you need or remember coffee, you want to have it again because it comforts your tongue, your sense organ. Even though some of us, if we drink coffee, we know it's acidic, it's causing a lot of problem in my digestion and it's not making me sleep, but still we go and grab that cup of coffee. So what is happening is the sensory memory, which is comforting, which is giving us sukha. Sukha is a very interesting word, right? Kam, su and ka means space, su is comfortable space. So we always going towards the comfortable space. You think of anything in the world, anything, any activity that we do, we are not doing anything which creates dukkha, uncomfortable state. Do is uncomfortable or not so pleasant. Ka is space. I don't want to do anything which gives me dukkha. I want to do everything which gives me comfort. Every activity, all our vrittis, all our activities we do to get more and more sukha. So this is our sense organs way of doing things. And it is most of the time it is helping us. But what happens, it also clouds our mind. So we want to keep going towards this path of sukha and comfort for our sense organs, and then we forget what is beyond that. We forget the buddhi, and the buddhi kind of loses its power because we never listen to that buddhi. So if I want to listen to the buddhi, I need to start practicing Ashtanga Yoga. So, what is Ashtanga Yoga? The 8 limbs of Patanjali, what he says: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So, Yama means to have harmonious relationship with the world outside me. Niyama is to be in harmony with myself. So, these are two moral kind of ethical principles. The third is asana practice, which we all understand as yoga. So nowadays we say yoga, we directly say asana. Have you gone to yoga class? Means you don't think of have you gone to Yama Niyama or pranayama class. We only immediately think of, oh yes, I have gone to yoga class. That means I've done asana. So we kind of now make yoga is equal to asana, but it's not the case. Asana is the third limb. And then what? Pranayama. Pranayama is using our breath to access the innermost pranic energy, which is our life energy, which we will talk a little bit later. And then pratyahara. Pratyahara is control of sense organs. We control the sense organs and direct. So like what you're doing right now, using the buddhi to say, okay, I don't want that coffee. That means I control my sense organ, my tongue, and I put that energy back into myself. So that is pratyahara. If I have good pratyahara, I can have good dharana. Dharana is one pointed focus. And this 5 limbs, right? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, these are called Bahiranga Sadhana. The sadhana that is done in the outside kind of practice. If my Bahiranga Sadhana is great, then it will lead to an Antaranga Sadhana, inner practice, inner stillness. So that Antaranga Sadhana is Dhyana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Dharana is one-pointedness. And if I am able to stay in that one-pointed focus for a very, very long time without any distractions, it's called dhyana. From that dhyana, if I completely become one with that object that I'm focusing on, is samadhi. So we might have heard many teachers, many gurus attaining samadhi, right? What is samadhi? That nothing else can disturb them in this world. They and their focus point, they become kind of one. So it's a very deep topic. And also there are many stages in samadhi. So it's not for today. So now if you understand this context, Patanjali is starting with Yama, you see. Even to reach that moksha or samadhi, where we have to start with Yama. Or if you're saying, no, I'm not really interested or keen on reaching samadhi, what this Yama Niyama can give you? It can give you amazing, harmonious relationship with the world in anything you want to do, and also gives a very calm and peaceful inside you. So this is why we need to practice Yama Niyama. So is there any question in this kind of why Yama Niyama? Like, do you understand why Patanjali introduced Yama Niyama? Let me know. You can let me know in the comments, and then I'll go to the next explanation of what Yama Niyama is. Should I go slower or is it too fast? Anything, please let me know, okay? The meditation is based on Yama Niyama. So, okay. So now we're going to go into first principle of Yama. So Yama, like I said, it's control. And who should practice Yama? Now you will ask me, okay, can I practice Yama or can he practice Yama? Now, Yama is universal. These are not someone like only one person can practice. So they're already given who can all practice. It has no restriction of place, no restriction of time, at any time during the day, all throughout, to all beings, not just to human being or like one particular being, to all being. You have to, without disturbance, you have to keep practicing these vows. These are all called the Mahavrata, like a greatest vow that you can take to reach the samadhi. This you should take. So this is for everybody at all times, for all beings, at any place we can practice Yama Niyama. Okay, so now we'll go into the first Yama. Okay, so Yama, the first one is Ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence, that we already know, and how to practice non-violence. Non-violence in thoughts, words, and actions. So we have to practice ahimsa in our thoughts, in our words, in our actions. So right now, let's say in our world, there is a lot of himsa happening. In our home, also there is some himsa happening. Maybe outside the world, when you see the war, we see ahimsa happening in actions. But here inside our houses, there's a lot of himsa happening through words, right? We use some difficult words so that that person get hurt and we can't reconcile. So there's a lot of distance. So how should I practice ahimsa? We need to practice ahimsa in all three levels of our existence. One, through our actions, through the body, through our thoughts, through our speech, the voice, and through our thoughts in your mind also. Mind, speech, and body, everything should practice ahimsa. That's the first one. And I'm going to tell you what is ahimsa a little in depth tomorrow, because today I want to cover why Yama and who should practice and what are the 5 Yamas. Satya. Satya means truthfulness. To being completely truthful to myself and to the people around me. That is Satya. Third one is asteya, non-stealing. It can also translate to non-accumulating more than what one person needs in their life. So right now, we are living in a very a culture of buying, right? Everything we see, we want to buy. And we also have disposable income to buy anything that we see. So that kind of compulsive shopping and buying is also a form of stealing from the Mother Earth. So this is asteya. Asteya is non-stealing and not taking more than you need. And then brahmacharya. Brahmacharya, it's a very interesting word. We can easily translate to celibacy, but there is a lot more detail from there we have to unpack. Let's do that tomorrow. For now, we understand if you are in the uh, phase of student phase, you have to practice celibacy. If you are a grihastha, you have to be truthful to your partners and keep your life of honesty between each other. So that's brahmacharya, who is in the path of yoga. And then aparigraha. Aparigraha is not being greedy. Okay, so most of our thoughts work because, oh, my neighbor has it, or she has it, or he has it, then I want it. So this kind of behavior is going to keep accumulating things into you. And then if you have a lot of things in your household, you know how difficult it is to maintain them because it takes all our energy to maintain the house, right? So this also kind of in modern terms we can understand as minimalistic living. Aparigraha is not grasping and not holding on to material objects because someone else have it. Do I really, really need it? So these are the 5 principles which can bring harmony to everybody around us, right? Not just to us, but to have my harmony with others, but also to give a harmonious relationship with everyone. So now let's say you are ahimsa, you are practicing ahimsa with your fellow members or in your family. They all going to be compassionate to you, right? And also it doesn't mean if someone is doing bad to you and you will stay there and do ahimsa. It's not that. Rather, how can I express my anger constructively to that person so both of them have a harmonious relationship instead of showing a himsa, kind of an activity which harms the other person. So himsa doesn't only harm the other person, it actually harms us. Now imagine that if you scream at someone very harsh, after a few seconds, you feel very bad about yourself. So that is only not harming the other person, but it's mostly harming our own self. And satya, truthfulness, how to be truthful to myself and to the people around me. Asteya, non-stealing, how not to take more than I need in my life. How to restrain my sense organs and to just have what I feel is enough for me. And brahmacharya, being celibate, if you are in the student phase, to practice celibacy. If you are a grahastha, to have a truthful relationship with your partners. And then aparigraha, non-grasping or non-coveting, not taking more than you need, is very similar to asteya, but in a broader sense, like how we live this life. And you see, like if you see all the animals or birds, they all live and enjoy earth as one. But human beings, we draw lines and put everything as mine, and we suffer. There is war because of that. There is disputes, legal disputes in the family because of this. So aparigraha, if goes overboard, everyone feels insecure. And that's why, like, even if you are hoarding things, we will feel very insecure on the inside, and it's not great for a harmonious outside world. So these are the 5 principles. Today, what I want to do is contemplate on them more and find out which principle for you makes more sense in your life to practice. So let's say ahimsa, most of us are non-violent people, except sometimes we have used to have like bad words sometimes, right? Or most of us are truthful people. But truthful means, what does truthfulness means? That also we have to ask ourselves. Most of them don't steal. We don't go and steal anything from others, but we steal, we take things which we don't need. We buy like unnecessary things from Swiggy, Zepto, or wherever you get it from, right? Or Amazon, or online shopping. And then brahmacharya, am I truthful to my own self and using my energy? This we're going to go in depth tomorrow, to reach the final state of moksha, or am I abusing my sensual energies? And then aparigraha, am I living a minimalistic life, or am I living a life of holding on to things? Okay, so this is our in understanding. So I would like you to take a pen and a paper, and I have few questions to answer. If you don't have a pen and paper, you can even close your eyes and answer this question to yourself in your mind, or type in your phones, whatever is comfortable for you. Which aspects of, you can also type in the chat box if you feel like you want to share with everyone, which aspect of yamas that you saw today you feel will be more useful to you in your present life? It's either ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Where do you feel the most unharmony in your own life? Forget about the 5 principles, everything we have to follow. But right now, what is the immediate need that we have today? Which principle is resonating to you and feel like, if I practice this, I will be more at peace with the outside world? Close your eyes. You can contemplate, or open your eyes and you can write. We're going to sit for 5 minutes. When you're writing about it also, you can Write everything that comes to your mind. You don't have to stop with one line. Whatever comes to your mind, you write it down. Because when you read it later, you'll understand all about yourself, the inner thoughts which comes out. If you choose to sit, close your eyes and sit and start asking this question to yourself. Okay? Now you can slowly open your eyes. So you might have one or two yamas or even just one if you felt like. If you want, type it in the comments. I see a lot more people already typing. Very nice. Okay, very nice. In Jainism, there are 12 vratas. Okay. So we call this Mahavrata, which is 10 vows. One, five is Yama and five principles of Niyama. I'm sorry, I'm speaking faster because each Yama will take around 3-4 hours to explain. So in 30 minutes, I'm trying to give as many information I can. So as much information I can, so all of you can be benefited, and this will be available in YouTube. And if you're really curious, there is more. Also, I have already spoken about it, and I have a video on YouTube also. You can just type my name and search Yama, and then you can find out also. Yes, great. I'm really happy that you all spoke about what is really important for you. Wonderful. I will take few questions. We'll take another few more minutes. If you have any question in the outline, because tomorrow we go in depth, what is ahimsa, how to actually practice ahimsa, how the olden saints, I'm going to give you some stories, practice ahimsa. Today, if you have any questions on the outline of what yama is and why should we practice yama, please ask me, and we will kind of close the session with that. Mine is stuck in the past thoughts. It's habitual patterns, right? So we have what everyone is mind is stuck in the past thoughts. Most of us, like, we don't admit that. Most of us, we are stuck in our past thoughts because it's samskara. It's a habit. I did some habit and then I do a habit, it becomes a routine. So what the mind knows is just this routine. It doesn't know anything new. So it's keep on looping into the old thought patterns. So practicing Yama Niyama will help you to break that alliance, which we call the alliance of karma. The karma has, again, we have to speak a lot more about it. Whatever you do today is going to cause a new action, right? So this break, if you can break that alliance by discriminative mind, the power of buddhi that we have because of Yama Niyama, then we can easily break out of our old samskaras. Okay, so yeah, cool. So there is Ajay also. Okay, there are two questions. I quickly answer that. The need for Yama Niyama, harmony. So this is why we started the class also with harmony is the goal for anybody. Like if now let's say we saw few days, few months, few weeks before there was like unrest, right? There was kind of war with not war, like we have violence which caused to us from Pakistan. And what happened? We all felt restless. Why we feel restless? Because outside, if there is no harmony, we cannot have harmonious inside. So how can I be something to contribute for that harmony? Not just in terms of like big violence wars, but also in our life. How can I say stay harmoniously with my friends, with my partners, with my parents, with my kids? How can I have this harmonious relationship? That is the only goal of Yama. And how can I have a harmonious relationship with myself is the goal of Niyama, right? Okay, no, in Jainism, in Buddhism, in Hinduism, all different scriptures have very similar concepts. Even in Tao Te Ching, in Lao Tzu's book in China, because I closely work in China, also I teach yoga there for last 10 years. So there are all these principles beautifully said in different religions, really different scriptures. So, okay, great. So yeah, Ajay, please go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning. Thank you to give me an opportunity
Thank you.
to ask the question. Actually, I just like to practice aparigraha because to leave something is very difficult. I
Hmm.
just like to leave my past thing and worry about some difficult. It's very difficult to
Hmm.
leave past. So just like to practice aparigraha. How can I practice? If you can
Okay.
suggest me or
Very nice question. This is what we're gonna dive deep tomorrow because today I only gave you outline. What is Yama? What is your five limbs, five principles. But tomorrow we go deep dive into how to practice these in situations which are conflicting, right? So we will learn about this more tomorrow. Yeah. Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
And Payal says sometimes you have you're irritated because they're asking something. Yes, Payal. So then that is also you have to understand why that irritation is causing. Yes, they are doing something, yes, but what is going on inside you? That kind of questioning you can ask yourself and write down why it irritates me, stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, Ria, you have a question?
Thank you for the session, ma'am. It was really insightful. I wanted to ask that yoga is part of Yama. I know that you told about it, but since a lot of information was given, so I just wanted to know. So, yoga is part of Yama, like one of the.
So yoga is a big topic, right? Inside yoga, we have 8 limbs. One is yama, niyama, and what you're saying yoga, maybe I'm understanding it, asana. So when you're practicing asana, it's part of the 8 limbs of yoga. It's called Ashtanga yoga. Okay, so yama is one part, niyama is one part, asana is one part. Even your meditation, what you're saying, many people say, I do yoga, many people say, I do meditation. But meditation is a part of yoga, of the 8 limbs, you understand? So Yama is one part, Niyama is one part, Asanas, this posture is one part, Pranayama is one part, Pratyahara, controlling our sense organs is one part, Dharana, focus is one part, and the Dhyana, meditation is one part, and final stage of yoga is Samadhi, to finally find yourself, the moksha, you know. Does it make sense, Ria?
Yes, ma'am. Looking for the upcoming sessions for more. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, and really appreciate all of you joining in. And if you have any questions, you can also leave in the chat box tomorrow when you come in. I'll also answer them at the end of the session, okay? And you can also find me on Instagram or even in YouTube, and you can ask me some questions there too. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you, Idanim, for the opportunity, and thanks all of you for coming on a morning to listen. Thank you. Bye.